Okay, I think this is going to be the last horror movie video for a while, guys. It's time to talk about the Ron Turn movies. I originally wasn't going to talk about them, but I've been kind of running out of topics that I can talk about lately, and since I haven't been watching as much lately as my normal life has been cluttered, I kind of had to go down in the list, yeah. So, how did I feel about the original Ron Turn movie? I was actually fairly impressed with the product that they were able to make, because I felt that the premise was fairly interesting, like I alluded to in my Hills Have Eyes review. I just find people, getting into these tough situations and then trying to get out of them kind of interesting. And unlike a couple of the Hills Have Eyes movies, I felt the protagonists here did have nice chemistry together, even though they were kind of arrogant people, especially like Kevin Zinger's character, because after Al Bud, half of his roles seemed to be kind of arrogant because that's what happened to him in Mortal Instruments, according to Filmmaster Adam. The one episode I saw of Dr. House that he was in, even though once his character, gets sick, he becomes a lot more mellow, just. Oh yeah, and the 2010 Frozen. Can't believe I forgot about that. That's a nice movie. Just as an example, But that was pretty good what they were able to do. Have people talk to each other for all kinds of reasons, and then of course there's them confronting the cannibals that are in the middle of the forest. I got real menace from these cannibals. Like, I didn't really want to look at them, and then the bit where they're hiding inside the cannibal shack, that was intense, let me tell you. And then a couple of those deaths, I just winced and just go, oh man, I felt that one, yeah. If I'm doing that, you can tell that I'm really engaged in the movie, and that all those tense situations in the trees, then having to jump to escape, and then the creativeness that those last two people had to go through to get out of the situation, yeah. I was real impressed by it, even though I felt the beginning was kind of stupid, but at the same time a little bit scary, yeah. So I just can't complain that much, other than possibly the fact that on the rewatch, this movie isn't going to be as good, and maybe they could have cut out a couple minutes, not sure, but I just felt that they did a great job with this movie. 4.5 out of 5, easily. Heck, I might even go 4.8. Yeah. Moving on to the second one. I gotta be honest, when I first started getting into it and then seeing how the plot of this movie was going, I was just like face planting my hand, because like this was bringing that pretty much every cliche that the naysayers say about reality TV to fruition, Because like the premise of, oh yeah, these people all like in a nuclear apocalypse, and they have to go to various checkpoints to gain strengths over the other. Like, how can you make a TV show out of this? It's totally stupid. And how can you fit the cannibals in there? And I was looking at these group of protagonists and like just, oh man, this just feels totally stupid. But as the movie went on and everyone started getting into their roles, I actually found that I was beginning to enjoy it, because even though the banter between the protagonist is a little stupid, at the same time it was different from the first and creative enough that I go, I'm giving you props for this, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, it didn't really go anywhere, but the thing is, if there's no banter or personalities revealed about protagonists, then we're only in the movies to see people get killed. Isn't that what the Friday the 13th movies are about? Hey, sorry, Friday fans, but I wasn't a fan of most of those movies, as you guys would know if you saw that video. Okay? And I gave those movies a chance, okay? Went into all of them cold, tried my best with them. Okay, I tried. Right. But I just liked what they ended up doing, and again, I liked the death scenes that they did, even though they were somewhat over the top, but this is one case where, even though the comedic and gore effects were up, after I sit back and think about it, it's not as bad as it seems, because, like, when I first saw Punisher Warzone, I hated it, but then I rewatched it several months later, and I go, you know what? Now that I'm past the shock value, I think it's fine, honestly. Yeah. Because, like, I did have some mixed feelings about the movie after I stopped viewing it, but, looking back at rewatching highlights of it, I think it's a better product. Even though there were some stupid deaths, because, like, when, that, womanizer guy and the lesbian end up getting shot, like, I didn't like how their last lines were. I just felt like they should have just admitted, well, that's all we can do. Or they should have just said, I'm going to get us out of here. I just need a. I think it would have been better that way. And then how the military guy gets wounded at first at the final confrontation that he faces. I just didn't like that. Had the guy go out fighting? I mean, like, he did go out fighting, but just how that original wound happened, I just did not like that. And then I'm having the old timer that was in the first movie turn out to be like the father out of all these people. Well, now that I've seen The Hills Have Eyes, which I hadn't seen at the time, hindsight looks like a fairly big ripoff. I mean, like, the fact that you ported him over to this movie, you kind of had to do that for his character, but I don't totally like the fact that they did. And then adding the nuclear waste to be exactly why the cannibals look the way they are, along with the fact that you're doing incest, just seems a little bit over the top. Do one or the other, okay? Not both of them. Right. And then there's also the fact that how the cannibals here behave very differently, and I had a couple of other gripes about them cannibals that I'm completely forgetting right now. Right. So, I'm gonna go, I'm 3 personal, but maybe 4 critique, not entirely sure. I've changed a little bit on my thoughts with this movie in hindsight, yeah. We're on turn 3. General consensus out there is that a lot of people didn't like this movie, and I can kind of understand it, but at the same time I don't, because the only real reason I think that people are probably going to dislike this movie is because it focuses more on the protagonists dealing with each other than dealing with the cannibals, because that's really all I could think of, because let's face it, the cannibals in this movie really take a back seat, because I think that there was only 3 or 4 of them in this movie, and almost all of them get killed. Minus the one that's right at the end, I think, so... Yeah, that's really all I can think of in terms of why people didn't like this movie, along with it possibly being too long, even though I think this is a very short movie, given how it's direct to DVD, yeah. But I actually found this movie to be enjoyable. I liked how different it was and how the protagonists did have to work together, despite the fact that obviously in any other situation this group of people would not be able to function with each other in any way. And then, of course, there's the bit, again, of how you've got the quote-unquote leader not understanding the situation they're in, and how ordinary people are somehow able to know more than the leader should, yeah. Right, but like all the people's unique personalities, that was enjoyable. Nice chemistry. I again winced at the deaths, although I did feel like a couple of them were more stupid in here than I did with number 2, definitely. But it was enjoyable, though I do have my gripes with it, and I think I'm far less likely to rewatch this one than I am with 2, even though ironically when I first finished it, I felt like my only real gripe with it was the stupid deaths and then the ending, because seriously, you're going to have that guy who looks a lot like Tom Cruise come back into the money van, and then he gets killed by the one criminal that is still alive, and then he gets killed by another cannibal? Come on! Did you have to do that after all they've been through? I mean, like, it's understandable that they would probably come back, but you seriously had to do that? That really did feel like a cheap death. Just, yeah. Right. So when I originally finished watching this movie, I was going to rank it above the second one, but now I think I'm going to say that it's worse than the second one. 3 out of 5 mainly because I don't think it matters that many rewatches. Yeah.